Zab Super Judah, born Brooklyn, New York, 5 foot 7.5 inches with a 72-inch reach. Began his career back in 1996 against Michael Johnson, who he knocked out in the second round. He went on to have many knockouts in his career, becoming a dangerous left-handed fighter who later on confronted Mickey Ward for the interim USBA super lightweight title. In his fight with Mickey Ward, Zab Judah began very quickly, landing the straight left at will. But Mickey Ward proved a tricky customer, being able to block the left-handed shots, and eventually started to get some work done on the inside. But by that time, Zab Judah had gone to a very high lead. Nonetheless, Ward pressed Zab Judah throughout that fight. Zab Judah would go on to win the match by unanimous decision, June 7th, 1998. After defeating Mickey Ward, Zab Judah went on to defend his interim USBA super lightweight title a number of times, moving on to attain the interim IBF super lightweight title against Wilfredo Negron. In that match, Zab Judah showed his selection of offensive and defensive skills, maintaining distance against Wilfredo Negron early in the fight when Negron was attacking him relentlessly. Zab Judah was able to land the right check hook, straight left to the body and the head, straight right jab, as well as right hooks and left hooks in the fight. He was able to knock out Wilfredo Negron in the 4th round of that fight, knocking him down a number of times as well. He went on to face a number of other fighters, but eventually he went up against Jean-Pierre Bergman, February 12, 2000, as he vied for the vacant IBF World Super Lightweight title. He would go on to knock out Jean-Pierre Bergman in the 4th round of that fight. He went on to defend his title against switch hitter Junior Witter, June 24th, 2000. Junior Witter, in the beginning of the fight, was a puzzle to solve, as he would switch from orthodox to southpaw at will and target Zab Judah in the fight. But Zab Judah would later on land leaping right hooks and shots to the body and to the head, working off his combinations on Junior Witter. As he began to read the pattern of Junior Witter's movements, he would go on to win a unanimous decision against Junior Witter. He would defend his title a number of times at super lightweight until he faced Costa Tszyu, November the 3rd, 2001. Costa Tszyu was the WBC and WBA super lightweight champion, and Zab Judah was the IBF World Super Lightweight Champion. In this unification bout, it would determine who was the undisputed champion at super lightweight. Zab came out strong early, but Costa Tszyu was able to time him and start working on him in the 2nd round. He was able to stop Zab Judah in the 2nd round, catching him as he was moving out of the way of a shot and moving backwards. He would go on 2 fights later to face DeMarcus Corley for the WBO World Super Lightweight title that DeMarcus Corley held. In this keenly contested bout, early on DeMarcus Corley showed his class and why he was world champion. But later on in the fight, Zab Judah started to get the better of Corley and managed to have a split decision win over him. Zab Judah would move up 2 fights later to welterweight to challenge Corey Spinks for the undisputed world welterweight titles in the WBC, WBA, and IBF. Though knocking down Corey Spinks in the final round, Zab Judah still lost by unanimous decision to him. He would rematch Corey Spinks 3 fights later in this fight, he would be more prepared for Corey, and he would continue to fight him as in the earlier fight, but turn on the burners later on. And he was able to stop Corey Spinks in the 9th round of that fight, February 5th, 2005. He would go on to defend once against Cosme Rivera, and then later on against Carlos Baldomir. In this case, because Carlos Baldomir could not pay the fees for his other titles, he was only able to defend his WBC World Welterweight title. In that fight, Zab Judah put on a lackluster performance, whereas Carlos Baldomir was very determined. Although Zab Judah did damage Carlos Baldomir's right eye with his straight lefts, he was not able to keep Carlos Baldomir from coming on him. Carlos Baldomir would not be denied. And so January the 7th, 2006, Carlos Baldomir defeated Zab Judah. On March 8th, 2006, Zab Judah faced Floyd Mayweather Jr., putting his IBF World Welterweight title on the line and vying for the vacant IBO World Welterweight title. Early on, Zab Judah came out to a fast start, and the match was in his favor, knocking down Floyd Mayweather Jr. in the 2nd round. However, in the later rounds, Mayweather took over the fight, landing on Zab Judah at will. It was a great matchup because Zab Judah had a lot of the skills that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had. However, Floyd Mayweather Jr. ended up having a unanimous decision win over Zab Judah. After his loss to Floyd Mayweather Jr., Zab Judah faced other notable names such as Miguel Cotto, Joshua Kalani, Lucas Matisse, Amir Khan, Danny Garcia, and Paulie Malignaggi. Zab Judah, still boxing in the boxing profession today, a notable junior welterweight or super lightweight, and one of the notable names in boxing. How will his career end? We will have to watch and see. Until then, you guys have a great one.